today, as I was talking through with my kids on some of the routines that have kicked in for me now that the seasons have changed, they wanted to know why that I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing. And I thought it might be helpful for you too. I'm going to tell you 8 quick things that I do the minute the skies turn gray for several months until it's all sunshine again. So no matter where you are in the world, this will apply to you at some time during the year. And I thought this might be helpful for you. I believe, as someone who has worked for myself for 21 years, I believe that when we have to work for ourselves, boss ourselves, do our own self-management, that our number one asset is self-awareness. Self-awareness is our number one asset. We have to know our body. We have to know our moods. We have to know how circumstances affect us. We have to know our physicality, our psychology, our psychiatry, all those things. You will not be successful creating your own results if you do not have a level of self-awareness, not only in how you present yourself, not only in how you deal with other people, but in what's going on in the world of you. If you find yourself refusing to get dressed or resisting getting dressed, this might be helpful for you. If you find that you require a lot more sleep, or you want to nap during the day or at times that you don't normally, then this might apply to you. If you find yourself canceling social obligations or avoiding them altogether. Now, I'm not talking about us introverts, but yes, I am also an introvert. But I'm not talking about our normal patterns. I'm talking about anything that escalates or turns up a little bit. And so if you find yourself avoiding social things or canceling plans you've already made, then this might be for you. If you find yourself not caring, like your apathy is pretty high, then this might be helpful for you. If you find yourself, and I kind of hate this word because I think motivation is too hypey of a word. Nobody can really move you to take action, right? Except maybe the bill collectors. But if you find yourself lacking all motivation, then it might be for you. All right. If you find yourself putting on a little extra weight or just feeling kind of gross or those kind of things, these are all symptomatic of various levels of seasonal affective disorder, or what I call the seasonal slumps. Here's what I do. I do 8 things on a regular basis. Number one, this is actually bonus pre-1, is I'm just self-aware. And I talk to myself about it. I know it's coming. I don't shame myself about it. There's no shame in it. It's how we're wired. You can talk about, now I'm no scientist or doctor, but you can talk about, well, it's because of how hormone levels shift, in the seasons. It's about different endorphins. It's about whatever. I don't know what causes it, but I know it moves in when the gray clouds do and when the sun goes away. And right around the time of my birthday, FYI, my birthday's in March. So right around spring break and birthday is when the sun comes back. And that's typically when my mood shifts. Now, let's do the math. Let's do the math on that. You can't just sleep it out. We can't just hibernate like a bear. We lose November, December, January, February, March if we give into it. And as people that are responsible for our own paycheck, as people that are responsible for our own results, we cannot afford a 5-month unpaid vacation every year. We cannot afford hibernation. We are not bears. So we have to fight it. So I like to visually, rather than think I have a disorder or a sickness or something else, I simply put on my favorite sweater, put on my boots, and I know what behaviors and things need to change November 1st or when the first clouds roll in, okay? And it's just my winter routine because I have to fight it. It doesn't mean I always win. It doesn't mean there aren't still some gray days that when you also deal with chemical imbalances, when you also have fought manic depression in your life, guys, I'm not dismissing any of those things. I have also struggled. I will say I don't always win, but these are things that I like to imagine in my tool belt. These are tools that I take out and use proactively even before it gets to me. So I thought this might be helpful for you. Let me disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not licensed. This is not medical advice. Before you radically change anything, talk to your doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist, etc. Be wise. Be wise, be self-aware, and be wise. Okay, a couple of things that I do. Point number one is I'm ultra faithful to my routines, even more than I am the rest of the year. What do I mean by routine? I set an alarm and I get up whether it's dark or not. I get up whether I want to or not. I get up whether I feel like it or not. I set the routine. I get up at the same time and I go to bed at the same time. I force myself to do it because it helps me later. We have to stop listening to our feelings 100% of the time. They will lie to you. They will deceive you into thinking later is better or whatever. I stick to my routines. I also get up and get dressed. That's one of my routines. I get up and get dressed in whatever I have to accomplish that day. So if I'm working, like today's a work at home day, I have on, yes, I wrote the book, The Barefoot Executive, but today I have on boots and jeans and my favorite sweater. I shot videos today. I'm meeting with you today. I had some meetings to go to today. I had kids to drop off and pick up today. So I get dressed. If I stay in sweats or pajamas, then I'm in a sweats and pajamas state of mind all day. So I get up and get dressed. I make myself get up and push through it. If you have a full-time job, you have to stick to your routine. You have to get up and get dressed. And so this shouldn't be foreign to everybody. But if you work for yourself or if you stay home with your kids or whatever that looks like for you, get up, get dressed, set your alarm, have some discipline, even though you don't feel like it, okay? It's just going to be for a few months. See some humans. This goes that we're still under the routines part. Make sure you see some humans every day and not just the humans that live with you. Go make eye contact or skin contact, voice contact with a human at the post office, at the bank, at the grocery store. We have created this world where we can have everything delivered. We can do all of our deposits and withdrawals online. We can communicate with people. We don't have to leave the house for days. And if we go pick up at kids for school, especially if you're still in your pajamas or you're still in your sweats, you're staying in your car and you're not seeing anybody. I want you to see a human every day. Let somebody know you care about them every day. Reach out, touch a human. Okay, ultra faithful to routines. Eat at set times. That's all under routines. Point number two, some of you won't like this one. Be very careful about how you are fueling yourself. F-U-E-L, fueling yourself. So many times we get caught up in feeding ourselves and eating our feelings that we are not fueling ourselves. So I will tell you in all seriousness, I eat by the clock more during these times because I need to be more disciplined, or I'm going to end up with that extra 20 pounds when the sun comes back. And I've got to be very careful. Also, be aware with how you fuel yourself and how you're feeling about that. Meaning, my 12-year-old has just discovered what I've known for years about myself. She's just discovered that if she eats like pasta or rice or bread midday, it makes her kind of groggy and sleepy and in the mud, like we're having to move through the mud. So when the skies turn gray, my carb count goes way down because I'm already fighting through sludge and muck mentally. I cannot add to it physically. So be very careful on how you're fueling yourself. If you feel kind of yucky, reverse engineer it and find out what you ate. What gives you the best energy, the most energy, and helps you perform at your best capacity to get through this stuff, okay? So number one, ultra faithful to routines. Number two, be very careful about how you're fueling yourself physically. Number three, be careful about how you're fueling yourself mentally. How are you talking to yourself? What are your affirmations? If you are a spiritual person, are you saying scripture to yourself or reading your Bible? Or what are you watching that's positive or negative? I mean, this is a time for me when there is no news on. This is a time for me when I'm saying positive things to myself instead of fussing at myself. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not holding myself accountable. It means that I'm talking to myself about, you've got this. And sometimes it's hard to talk to yourself about that, although I do out loud in the mirror or not in the mirror. I talk to myself famously while I'm making the bed every day, one of my routines. But also I find somebody to reach out to every day and encourage them, because in the process of encouraging them, it helps me speak affirmation to me. So how are you talking to yourself? What are your affirmations? What's your positivity? What are you doing for self-talk during this time? Very important, okay? Another thing, number 4, is extra lights, extra lamps, extra daylight, find your windows. I wake up and my family laughs at me. First of all, this house, this is my retirement house. I don't ever plan to move again. If you know me, you think that's a funny statement, but it's a true statement. I have windows everywhere. This house has so much natural light. I'm facing a window now. I do all my videos facing a window. That's not only just good video lighting, but I need the light. People that know me well will tell you I am solar powered. I wake up and start throwing open the blinds every morning because I need the light to come in. When I shoot videos, not only just for good lighting, but just for my own mental health, I use an extra lamp in my face. Even when I'm not shooting videos, I have extra light in my face. It could be a cheap tabletop lamp. It could be a stand. Get light on you. Don't be in the dark. Be very conscious about the light, okay? Another thing that I do that you may or may not want to, but I like to use essential oils. In the winter, in the fall and winter, I use all the uplifting ones. I use the citrusy ones in the shower before I get in. I put them in the shower floor. I let the room fill up with steam, and I'll take a lemon shower or a grapefruit mandarin shower or whatever that looks like for the day. The oil company you use may have some blends that have something to do with your spirits or mood or whatever. I like the citruses because you know I'm an orange kind of girl. Anyway, I diffuse them in the house. Any candles I burn, I do not burn vanilla food smelling type candles. I do not want food smells in my house because remember, I'm being careful about fuel. So I burn citrusy candles, even though they're a little anti-holiday, right? But they help my mood. I'm very aware of that. You'll sometimes see me when I'm doing a live or a coaching session where I'll grab an oil and I'll rub it on my hands and I'll just be really self-aware about how it affects me and what I need. So if it helps you focus, if it helps you keep going, if it helps you be alert, if it helps you elevate your mood, I love essential oils for that reason. You may find that a special perfume affects you that same way. Sister, go get it. Get it. Spray it on. Whatever helps you. Again, be self-aware. All right. The other thing is you got to get outside. I know we talked earlier about seeing humans. Part of the daily has to be getting outside, whether I just go stand and find a patch of sunlight, whether I go in the backyard and listen to water features, whether I just am walking the dog, whatever it is, I have to change my atmosphere a little. And again, these are 8 things that I do on the daily in order to fight the seasonal slump. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying this is my routine and this is what I do. The other thing I do, and this is the last thing I'll leave you with, and that is I am really intentional about supplementation, like vitamins, minerals, supplementation during this time. These are not recommendations for you because I am not qualified to do that. I personally ramp up my vitamin D in a big way because what I know is I'm not getting it from sunshine. I ramp it up in a big way. I take 3 or 4 vitamin D every morning. Again, the strength, I want to say I take 3 or 4,000 I use maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 little vitamin Ds. I take my vitamin C blended with iron very religiously. I am very careful with my multivitamin. I take it mid-morning. I take a multivitamin with extra Bs in it for metabolism, for mood elevation, those kind of things. I also am careful with my caffeine. You guys know I love my coffee, but I'll have one big coffee, and then the rest of the day it's really kind of supplementation and those kind of things. I'm also experimenting a little right now with a couple of new supplements, nothing like fringe or anything, but for cell regeneration and those kind of things. But that's not my market, so I'm not going to make recommendations for you. I do know that vitamin D, super helpful. For me, C and iron, the majority of women are anemic on some level, especially depending on what time of the month it's falling for you. So not to be too personal, but you might look at some iron supplementation. I take a C and iron that's buffered together so that I don't have any side effects from it. And I really like that. So anyway, the most important thing is that you be self-aware. The other most important thing is that you have some routines that are non-negotiable. When we create our results, we have to motivate ourselves. We have to know, though, when we're fighting against psychology, physiology, weather, and all those other things so that we can be our best selves. It doesn't always work. I may have a day every couple of weeks that I just can't fight it, and I just have to give myself the day. When I taught, we called that a mental health day, and we're not making light of mental health. What we know is that something that's very important for any kind of mental health is margin and rest and honoring what your body is telling you. But you can't let the seasonal slump fool you into thinking that you're worthless, that you're apathetic, that you're not going to make any money, that nobody cares, that you need to quit, that why am I even bothering, all those things. So if you came in late, I'm going to recommend you go watch this from the beginning. 8 tricks that I use in my personal life in order to fight through the blahs, to beat the blah, right? To be an active warrior for my own mental and physical health during the seasonal change.